So we are still hot off the heels of Battery Day that happened just a few days ago at the time of publishing this video, and I had every intention of sitting down and recording some kind of recap to the event the same day and kind of running through all the major announcements, and a couple of things happened. One, I kind of ran out of time and didn't have a chance to get to that the same day, and also, maybe it was just me, but I was a little underwhelmed by what Tesla was planning to do. Of course, this was a shareholder event plus a day about battery technology, and I think if you take that for what it is, then Tesla did kind of achieve what they set out to do and kind of what they stated they were going to do. But I think a lot of us were expecting something more. Maybe we were hoping for that S or X interior refresh, maybe some kind of other full self-driving breakthrough or something about that rewrite, but I'm not going to deviate too much in this video because in this video I do want to talk about probably the most exciting thing, I think, for many, at least for me, that was mentioned during Battery Day, and that was this $25,000 Tesla that is going to come in the next 3 years or so, according to the Elon timeline right now, and deliver a Tesla all-electric experience for a price that is about $10,000 cheaper than the current cheapest Tesla on the road and the cheapest one you can buy right now. Let's talk about the Tesla Model 2. So this car is interesting for so many reasons. I don't even know where to really begin for this video, but I think it's really cool to see that Tesla is kind of giving a public promise, a commitment of sorts that they are intending to do this and continue to kind of drive the price of their vehicles down. They do technically have a $35,000 car you can buy, which achieves kind of this milestone they wanted to accomplish, but by all accounts, it's not the easiest car to buy. It is a standard range Model 3. It's basically a standard range plus with some options removed via software. You have to, call Tesla. It's a special order. It's a whole thing. It wasn't the car that we originally thought we were going to get. Some ways in better ways than what we thought. Some ways worse. But it does in fact exist. But now they're looking to drive that cost down even more to make this car more accessible to people around the world. And I think that we can all agree that whether you're going to buy a Model 3 or a Model Y or an S or an X, that having a cheaper, more affordable option is just a good thing for Tesla and a good thing for consumers in general as well. And there are so many questions that you have to ask that kind of come to mind when you think about this. Should you buy the Model 3 over the Model 2? What are you missing for that $10,000 difference? Are there going to be different SKUs? There's a lot of stuff we need to talk about, a lot of questions that we don't have answers for, but that is not going to stop me from speculating in this video and making some educated guesses based on what history has shown us with Tesla. And there actually is, I think, a lot we can learn from the standard range Model 3 that I think we can apply to this new cheaper Tesla Model 2. And I think it's important to realize that Tesla is able to bring that cost down by fundamentally changing some of the steps in their battery production process. They're bringing more of that process in-house. They're streamlining the process, using different materials, using some things they've learned from acquisitions. I am by no means obviously here any kind of battery expert, and I kind of went through the cliff notes of that part of the presentation because it was a little slow and information dense and boring, but it is cool to see that Tesla is doing this, and it's cool to see that a result of that could lead to cheaper cars and maybe even cheaper variants or price reductions in other cars. Maybe the Model S, the X, the Y, the 3, all those other cars could somehow get cheaper as well as a result of these improvements with battery technology. That is the assumption, and that's also, again, what's causing the $25,000 Model 2 to exist in the first place, is thanks to these advancements and what Tesla's doing in-house with this new battery technology. And there is a lot of speculation from within the Tesla community on what this car is going to look like. And again, I don't know, it's going to be called Model 2. That's just kind of the placeholder name right now under the Model 3. But that's kind of its given name right now. It's a term of admiration as we kind of look to see what this car could look like. And there's a lot of different variations we don't know. Some people are saying maybe it's a coupe, maybe it's kind of a two-door version of the Model 3. We've seen some concepts and renders of that before. Some are also saying maybe it could kind of take some aesthetic choices and some material choices from the Cybertruck. So you kind of have this weird Model 3 Cybertruck hybrid that maybe results into this car that's a little more boxy, a little more aggressive industrial looking, but could be a little bit cheaper to produce. And then you kind of have some more traditional kind of render concepts that look like something of a Toyota or a Honda hybrid that kind of brings a little bit of that Tesla design DNA into something a little bit more traditional. We don't know what the car is going to look like, but again, with the efforts of trying to bring costs down, it's probably going to have a more simplified design, maybe again even taking some cues from the Cybertruck in an effort to save money in the production process. But we don't really know what the car is exactly going to look like. I'm a little split. I don't know if Tesla would maybe somehow reuse some portions of the Model 3 design to bring that down. Obviously, the Model Y was very heavily inspired by the Model 3 design, so maybe that could make its way downstream as well. Maybe there's some kind of a refresh that happens to the 3 and the Y, and that design that's a little bit older is able to move its way downstream. We don't know what the design of this car will look like. That's why there's all these crazy renders, but we can probably expect something a little bit more traditional, if not at the very least, something that is cheaper to produce, again, all in an effort to bring costs down and keep it as low as possible. But as little as we know of the design and kind of what the Model 2 is going to look like, I do think that the case for the interior is different. There is a lot that we can learn from what we knew about the Model 3, more specifically the standard range Model 3, that I think is finally going to make its way into this car. More specifically, we had heard a lot of things about the standard range $35,000 Model 3, what Tesla was going to do to the interior of this car to bring costs down. That simply didn't happen for a number of different reasons, but I think that that's not going to be the case for the Model 2. I think they might actually adopt some of these things from the Model 3 standard range design to bring to the Model 2 to just, again, bring costs down. Those would include a cloth interior. We have leather seats in the Model 3. I don't think that's going to be in the Model 2. One of the other rumors for the Model 3 standard range is that it would not have a panoramic kind of glass sunroof, that would be just a regular bare bones kind of metal roof. I think that's another thing that they could do to bring costs down. You could also have a smaller screen, maybe a 10-inch, 11-inch, or a 13-inch display instead of the 15-inch one we have in the Model 3. We could see manual seat adjustments and a manual steering wheel adjustment. Again, some things we saw rumored for the Model 3 standard range that could make its way down to the Model 2. It could not have, obviously, USB-C ports in the rear. It could not have a wireless charging pad standard. Lots of little things Tesla could do to, again, keep costs low and kind of reduce the production intensity and the price for this Model 2 in an effort to save some money down the road for consumers when they go to buy this car. They're already not including floor mats with the standard range and standard range plus, so I would definitely not expect to get floor mats with the Model 2 if the current cars tell us anything. But again, I think it's all about these little things that Tesla can do to kind of cut some costs in an effort to bring that car down to a price as low as possible. But then another interesting thing to think about with all of this in an effort to, again, cut costs is that Tesla claims that all of these cars will still be robo-taxi enabled, which would mean they'd have to have all the necessary equipment to have autopilot and full self-driving in there as well. I'm not sure how the cost breaks down with that. I'm not sure if that would be included in the $25,000, or maybe you'd have a car that is the very base that doesn't have these features. Maybe that could help, if anything else, reduce the cost, or if a person was to buy the car, they'd have to pay to have those activated. That would also not be out of the question. I'm not sure how that fits into the whole thing. It would be weird for Tesla not to sell a car with that hardware equipped, but I could also see them not doing it, again, in an effort to get a car down to that $25,000 price tag. Maybe the autopilot system is a higher end, higher tier option that you're just not gonna have at the very base model. But then you kind of get into some production and logistics issues on why would you produce a car that didn't have that hardware. Maybe it's just cheaper in the long run to produce it, but then lock it down, kind of how Tesla does with rear heated seats and other things in the Standard Range Plus. Again, getting a little ahead of myself, but that's another thing to think about. Is it going to have the hardware for AP and enhanced autopilot and full self-driving and robotaxi, or is it going to be a very stripped down, bare bones, just the car, no other fancy stuff? So what do you guys think about this rumored Model 2? What will it have? What won't it have? What will the design look like? How do you think it'll stack up to other vehicles in the Tesla lineup? I would love to know what you guys have to say, so please leave those thoughts in the comments down below. As always, I appreciate the support. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up this video if you have not already. It certainly helps with the algorithm, and I sincerely appreciate it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Robert Rosenfeld, and I will see ya